Hi, I'm Arthur and I draw stuff. Welcome to my channel. It's finally time for me to work on Pinkie Pie. She's another member of the main six that I never really found myself too attached to as a kid, but I absolutely adore how her character was portrayed throughout the series. I also like how they carried over her fourth wall breaking into both versions of the character. For the sketch, I referenced this image and illustration for the body type and pose. While you watch me do that, I wanted to mention that I've been holding off on her for a while, as I really wanted to get things right with her. Many people, including myself, had canon Pinkie as being black, and given that I don't draw many black characters, I have little experience with important parts like different hair textures, ethnic features, and shading darker skin tones. I looked at a lot of different references and followed a few guides that I found on Pinterest, but I still could have made mistakes, so if I did, please feel free to kindly let me know what I could do better next time. While cleaning up the sketch, I worked on the general shape of the hair, struggling quite a bit to get it to look at least somewhat natural. This is where the references that I mentioned earlier really came in handy. I also struggled a bit with the nose as I wanted to try and make it as accurate as possible. Moving on to sketching her outfit, I was heavily inspired by Y2K and early 2000s fashion trends, specifically the layered tank top and the use of multiple belts, even if they weren't needed. I also felt she would be the type to try and mix and match different pieces of clothing that normally wouldn't be worn together, yet still somehow pull off the look. I'm not sure if I worded that well, but hopefully you understand what I mean. After cleaning up the rest of the sketch, I moved on to the line art. Nothing too special to mention about this part, I'm just using the same pencil brush that I did with the sketch, essentially cleaning it up further while doing my best to keep it feeling loose and natural. I also separate all of my layers. For example, keeping her hair and skin and different pieces of clothing on their own separate layers, so I can color the line art more easily later. With the colors, I began with her skin, making sure to keep it saturated so it doesn't end up looking dull and gray when paired with other colors. I even took the time to lighten up her palms a little bit. When choosing colors for her hair and outfit, however, I struggled to get them to play nice. I knew I wanted her outfit to be pink, blue, and yellow, but the way that I did it initially, it just ended up looking wrong and all over the place. When I noticed this, I went back to some of my reference images, realizing that they were sandwiching the colors instead of just placing them randomly like I was doing previously. After mapping out the colors using the paint bucket tool, I eventually figured out how I wanted them to work and recolored the outfit. I'm honestly glad I made this mistake because it helped me learn how to work with tricky colors a little bit better. Once I was done with the flat colors, it was finally time for me to shade. In my last video, I tried a new technique which helped me when shading over colors that would normally end up muddy if I just used a regular purple multiply layer. I didn't use this for the skin because it wasn't making too much of a difference, but when shading the clothes, especially over the yellow parts, it made a huge difference. If you didn't see my last video, a simple explanation is that I copy my base color and clip it above my shadow layer, adjusting the hue, saturation, and luminosity to be darker and warmer. Then, adjust the opacity of my shadow layer before merging them together. For highlights, I just went with my normal method of using a light yellow-orange color on an overlay layer and adjusting that opacity. I also always go in with a soft shadow and highlight layer as well, just to bring more depth to my characters when I draw them. When all of the shading is looking good, I color the darkest shadow color from each part and adjust it to be darker and warmer, using that color on each of the line art layers. I just love how coloring the line art completely transforms a drawing. With that done, I added her cutie mark, made by Black Griffin on DeviantArt, and an image of our pony counterpart, as always. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments and consider liking and subscribing while you're down there. It really means a lot. This was the final redesign of the series, and I've had so much fun working with these characters and the unique challenges that came with redesigning them. Thank you to those who have stuck around despite my sporadic uploads. I'm not sure what I will be doing next time, but hopefully you'll stick around to see what I come up with. And as always, see ya!